So friends, back in August 2021, I almost lost all my hopes as far as clearing this exam is concerned, because I was not getting enough time to prepare. I was busy in other activities. I was making videos. I was doing my 9 to 5 job. And yes, it was not structured. I was not confident whether I'll be able to pass or not, and there was a lot of fear in me. But then I decided to face my fear. I put a structure to it, and by God's grace I was able to clear the exam. But while I was struggling to prepare for my exam and I was getting confused and frustrated, at one point I made this promise to myself that somehow if I manage to pass this exam, I'll make a structured video to share my experiences, how I approach the problem, how I approach the certification, and what all resources I use, so that anybody who is trying for this certification can get some help. And also this whole framework would be applicable to any other certification as well, as far as I am concerned. Now this is my personal experience, my personal approach. It might fit you, might not fit you. But having said that, I'm pretty sure that some of these resources which I have used and the approach I have used will help you give that direction. So I have categorized this whole video into 3 parts. In the first, we'll understand what is GCP Architect certification is all about, some features of this particular exam. In the second part, I will explain you my approach and what all resources I used to prepare for my exam, and some good resources which you can utilize. So at the end, I will share my take on whether we should do a certification or not, what are the pros and the cons, and what you should expect out of pretty much any IT certificate.
Friends, the video was getting really lengthy, so I have to break it into 2 parts. In part 1, I'll explain you what is Google Cloud Architect certification all about, all the resources and material which I used, and my specific method using mind mapping technique, how I prepared for this particular exam. And in the second part of the video, I will put my opinion in front of you as far as doing certifications in IT industry is concerned, whether it is good for you, it is bad for you, how you can get benefit out of it. Everything from my perspective I'll put in front of you, and then it is up to you to decide. So enjoy part 1, and very soon I'll upload part 2. Thank you.
So friends, don't look at it for now, okay? What I have tried doing here is to create a mind map. Now what is a mind map? Mind map is a technique with which we try to consolidate all the information in the way our mind processes it. So our mind always connects the dots and stores the information. And I have personally used it, and I found it very effective, because honestly, if you talk about Google Cloud certification, there is a plethora of information floating on the internet, and the moment you start digging into that, you get lost. So what I did is I tried creating a mind map for myself, and I have exactly replicated that for you guys. Now it might help you, might not be your style, but then you can devise, you can customize this as per your requirement. So we'll navigate this map, and we'll try to understand what are the features of these exams, what is expected in this particular exam. So let's get started. So the name of the exam is Google Cloud Professional Cloud Architect, and then it enables cloud architects to design, develop, manage different types of GCP solutions, that is cost effective, robust, secure, highly available. So basically Google is trying to understand your experience as an architect. Suppose if a problem statement is given to you, how you would come up with your understanding of the problem, and then come up with a solution which caters to that problem. Okay, so that's why there will be a lot of case study based, scenario based questions which you need to understand, and you could only understand if you have that architect mindset. So that you have to keep in mind. Now the validity of the exam is 2 years. So if you get certified, it will be valid for 2 years, and after that you have to renew the exam. Now how it is conducted? It is conducted in 2 modes, online and on-site. So in online mode and on-site mode, both are conducted by Criterion, which is a third-party vendor for Google. And mostly now with COVID, online is the mode. I did it through online, so there will be a person looking at you, and you have to sit at your home. There will be a survey done of your house, so that they will check everything, and then there will be time fixed where you will sit in front of your PC. your PC needs to meet certain requirements. I'll put all the whatever links are there with me, I will put it, but there are certain conditions your PC needs to meet in order to appear for this exam. So Criterion conducts this exam, so you can go to their website and create your ID, and then you can book the exam. So basically you will be tested on 6 major areas as an architect, and these areas are how you design and develop or plan Google Cloud solutions, how you manage and provision cloud infrastructure like VM instances, Kubernetes clusters, security and compliance, HIPAA compliant, all those kind of compliance which I have been talking about. You need to understand what kind of security and compliance needs to be enabled. Then different types of technical and business processes, how you can analyze and optimize a particular business process. For example, a business process is taking too much time to load the data. So what you can do to optimize the time taken with something more efficient on Google Cloud. Manage cloud implementation. So how you would implement a use case end to end on Google Cloud. And lastly, how you will enable smooth operations for reliability. So once you deploy the solution, how you will monitor, how you will make sure that operations are smooth. So that's where monitoring, logging comes into picture. Then the cost of the exam is $200. The duration of the exam will be 2 hours. Number of questions will be 50. Now this is based on what I did the last time, but you have to continuously check. There is a link I will give where you can go and continuously see what are the updates on this exam is. The most important thing is, and that's why I've highlighted this in blue, is you have to review the exam guide. I will give that link as well. So in exam guide, it is all detailed out how you should approach this exam, how you should go about preparing for this exam. And then Google also gives you a learning path. Now that learning path is Google's way of telling you that you should approach this exam in this manner. I will tell you in the next section how I approached it, but obviously Google recommends you to go for certain courses and the learning paths and all that, but we'll talk about it in the next section. The experience required is minimum of 3+ years in industry and especially implementing Google Cloud solution for at least 1 year. Very important aspect is it has 4 different case studies, and these 4 case studies would be highly important as far as the exam is concerned. While it is not a necessity that you should know the case study in advance, but you have to go through the case study. You have to understand what this case study is talking about so that you don't spend time while attempting the exam. Because honestly, if I share my experience, I was lost in the exam. I'll be very honest, and I put 25 questions out of 50 under review. So you can understand what I was going through. I was not confident. But then a very important tip is you have to put your questions on review if you have slightest of doubt of what you have selected. And in the last 30 minutes, I went back and I reviewed and I almost changed answer for 12 questions. So I think that was the game changer for me. So keep that tip in mind that if you are not confident, put that question in review and move ahead. Don't waste time. Don't spend too much time. Go for the easy wins. First, you see what are the sure short answers you know and go for it, and then come back later on the questions where you have difficulty or which are more complex. Okay. So yes, this is overall how this whole exam is designed. Okay. I think I have covered almost everything. If I have missed something, I'll put it in the description. Obviously, there's a lot of information, so I've tried consolidating it in one video. But yeah, obviously I might miss out on some points, so please forgive me for that. Okay. Now let's get ahead with our next section where I will show you my approach and my resources which I utilize to prepare for the exam. So friends, I have distilled all my resources into this one board and I will run through this step by step. So don't get overwhelmed. It's very simple. I'll run through each and everything which I approached and also the sequence in which I approached it. So first let me start with the mistake which I was doing initially. So when I started approaching this particular exam, I was already working on Google Cloud for the last 4.5 years, but I was very specific to the data domain. And I think I got into that overconfidence that yes, I know pretty much everything what happens, and I will be able to understand and run through the exam. But then when I started attempting some practice exams, and when I started attempting some sample questions, I realized that I am not prepared. And then I started going through the content whatever came my way, and there was no structure to it. So that mistake I don't want you to do. So you should always understand that knowing something is one thing, but then clearing an exam is another thing. When we are trying to focus on a certification exam, we have to have a structured approach for that specific exam. We should know what is expected from us in that specific exam. So keeping that in mind, I went back and I reframed my approach, and then I started with a structured approach, and that structured approach was initiated with what you see on my left here. So friends, in order to give structure to my preparation, I took the help of couple of books because I love reading books, and also some couple of courses. Now what these books and courses did was they summarized the whole exam sequentially in one particular flow and in one particular structure to me. So I was able to understand what areas I am good at, what areas I am not so good at, and then I was getting a better grip on how I am approaching towards my exam. So now let's go through this mind map. So in my preparation, following the structured approach, I first took shelter of the books because books always comes to your rescue. So in this particular section, there are two publishers which have two very good books on Google Cloud certification. Now when I referred it, I don't know if it is with the latest revision it is available, but with Packet we have a Google Professional Cloud Architect guide from Conrad Klapa and Brian A. Girard. Now with Packet, the publishers are fantastic. This book gives you a very high level overview of whatever you need to know on GCP. It is not in very detail and depth, but it will prepare you on the surface like, okay, these are the components, these are the sections, these are the exam preparations which you need to do with some tips. Similarly, for Willy publication, Dan Civilian book is very famous. Again, it is for Google Cloud certification. I'll maybe put the link of these. As a second step, I also did a Udemy course by Ranga Karnam. He is a fantastic instructor, guys, and he put things into perspective. He precisely made sure that we are going into that exam mode. We are understanding what is needed from us from the exam perspective. You might have so much information, but if you are not able to crack the exam, you're gone, right? So Ranga brings that magic, and I truly appreciated his course. I gave it a good rating as well. So you should go and check out Ranga Karnam course. And then there is a Coursera course which Google recommends, and that is for architecting on Google Cloud. That also I took, and that again helped me a lot. So these four pillars made sure that I had a structure in my mind that okay, this is the exam, this is how it will come, these are the sections, these will be the kind of questions, these will be the case studies. So I always felt very confident when I went back, retraced, and I started with a structured approach. Apart from that, there are some free YouTube resources, and many, but out of those I only referred to. One is the standard Google Cloud Tech YouTube videos, like it is standard Google YouTube channel. I think there are a couple of channels for Google Cloud, but yeah, Google Cloud Tech, all the fantastic tutorials are there. And then learn GCP with Mahesh. I think Mahesh does a fantastic job. He brings all the latest happening on GCP, and especially related to exam and what kind of changes are happening in the case studies or exam structure. So this is also a very great resource to refer, and this is for free. So obviously, and there will be others as well, which you could put in the comment section so that others could utilize those as well. But these are some resources which brought structure to my approach. Now for hands-on, because obviously after doing this, if you are not parallelly doing the hands-on, suppose if you have your own Google Cloud setup, then obviously you can try that, but it's very complex and again it might be costlier for you as well. So for hands-on, we have two kinds of hands-on. First is the practice exams, also you have to practice, and then quick labs. So I will start with quick labs. Quick labs is associated with Google and it gives you a learning path, especially for Google Cloud Architect certification. There are set of labs which you have to complete. So quick labs is one very good resource. And sorry, I made this incorrectly. So this is Linux Academy. So Linux Academy is also give us hands-on courses and materials, and also for practice exams we have Viz Labs. Linux Academy also gives us practice exams. If you don't attempt, then you are not sure where you stand, right? So you need to have some practice questions, exam questions to attempt, see your speed, how you are approaching, where you are lagging. So for all that stuff, I think hands-on is very important, and without hands-on, and obviously if you are working on Google Cloud already, that hands-on is also very important. Going to the architecture center, so there is a dedicated portal, Google Cloud Architecture Center, which is all about architecting solutions on Google Cloud, and it has various kind of case studies for various kind of solutions, for containerized solutions, Kubernetes, security, data and analytics, infrastructure as a service, you name it and you have it. So friends, these are not samples, these are real case studies of various industries implementing Google Cloud as a solution. So not only for doing the certification, even after doing the certification, every architect needs to continuously review this architecture center, because you get the industry standard designs and use cases and some best case studies to refer to. All sort of different categories are there, and then what kind of solutions have been deployed under that category, and then you will have step-by-step process also, and the design also, how that has, and that will actually help us in the real exam case studies. So actually those case studies are 4 different case studies which will come in the certification exam. EHR healthcare is for the healthcare sector, helicopter racing again is for gaming, Mount Care Games again gaming, and Terram Earth is for manufacturing. Then once we have this whole structure, once we know what's the exam, how to prepare, we have done all the courses, we have done hands-on, and I'm not saying you have to go step by step, okay, you can do things in parallel, it's completely customizable. I'm just giving you my approach, okay, so take it and do it in your own way. So after I did everything, then I also referred some interesting other important resources which we need to know about. So first is GCP best practices. Now in the exam, it is expected from you as an architect that you will always apply and select what is Google recommended best practices. So a question might have 2 correct answers, but then if it is written in the question that what Google recommends or what is as per the Google best practice, what should be the answer, then you have to be aware of that, else you would select another answer which will be right, but then it will not be right in exam perspective. GCP in 4 words, very interesting way to learn various different services, because as you know, there are so many services and during the exam we might forget, okay, so this is a very good material to refer to. I will put the link in the description where you have this pictorial view of every service and how you can describe it in 4 words. So very quick and effective way to mug up and understand one particular service, but all this needs to be done once you have got hold of the fundamentals and got deep into practicing everything, okay, only then you can go for this, or you can use it as a refresher. Awesome GCP by Satish Vijay. So he's a famous guy as far as GCP space is concerned, because he has done all the different certification. I think he has his own YouTube channel as well. I really love his content, especially the material he has provided on GitHub. I will share the link of that so you can check that out. So yes, Satish Vijay is someone to follow if you are pursuing some sort of certification in GCP space. GCP Sketch Notes by Priyanka Vargadia. Obviously, she is very famous in this space. She is a Googler, she works in Google, and then she has so much content online on YouTube, some of the Google tech videos, and then she makes some fantastic sketches to describe a service to a layman. So a lot of resources. If you simply search for it, you will get it. I will also try to put some links. Okay, but she is the one to follow if you want to know the first hand information about what's happening in Google Cloud space, and it will also help you in the certification. Flowcharts. So there is this grumpygrace.dev space which gives us various kind of helpful flowcharts. Why we need flowcharts? So as an architect, you need to understand which particular service you will select for which particular scenario. So suppose you have a scenario where you have a streaming data and then you have a batch data. Now, if you know the flowchart, you should understand that if it is a streaming resource or streaming data set, what kind of service could be selected. For example, PubSub. So yes, I think this is pretty much it. I have covered pretty much everything I touch based on my journey on Google Cloud. Obviously, it will continue to evolve as Google Cloud changes its material, but I think these people, Mahesh, Satish, Priyanka, these guys will always keep you updated. So do follow them, and I'll also continue to bring something about any updates which comes in future.